Hello, I use Firefox. Welcome, hello and welcome back to the Tough Cut Podcast. I'm Matthew.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jake, but here, one thing. No one cares about your love for Firefox. I want you to know the two browsers I do use are Chrome and Safari.
Anyway, as I said, hello and welcome. We are the Tough Cut Podcast. This is the first episode of our new bracket, Animal Protagonists.
Oh, that's why you said Firefox.
Always thinking, yeah. So, what on earth is this bracket about? Someone want to take that one?
Yeah, we picked in an attempt to find a lighter selection of movies. We chose something that we thought would overall be less violent. A bunch of movies where animals are the protagonists. Did that happen? For most of them.
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Yeah, big yikes to my pick. My pick in this show, actually.
Jake had 3 picks this time. Did he squander one of them? Perhaps.
Which, speaking of the picks, does someone want to call out what they picked for this bracket?
Absolutely. I picked the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, directed by Steven Hillenburg, released in 2004. This is the Goofy Goober movie, not the Sponge Out of Water, where he's searching for a magic book. I also picked The Lion King, 1994, directed by Roger Ellers and Rob Minkoff. And I picked The Adventures of Milo and Otis, directed by Masanori Hata and released in the US in 1989.
Lovely. For mine, I got 3 movies. Get excited, guys. I picked Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Fantastic Mr. Fox, 2009, directed by Wes Anderson. And the best movie in this bracket, guaranteed to win, guaranteed stunner, Mouse Hunt, 1997, directed by the Gore Verbinski. Beat that, guys.
Love him or hate him, he is Gore Verbinski.
Is that his tagline? Love or hate him? He is Gore. That's what got him the job directing Pirates of the Caribbean.
No matter what you say, he is who he is.
That is the energy of that movie.
Meanwhile, I pitched Paddington 2, 2017, directed by Paul King, and Life of Pi, 2012, directed by Ang Lee.
But today, episode 1 of Animal Protagonist Bracket, we have 2 matchups for you. We've got The Lion King going up against Paddington 2, and we've got the SpongeBob movie going up against the Gore Verbinski's Mouse Hunt.
Oh my god, you guys are so fucked. I'm gonna slaughter you. Just a heads up, we will be spoiling these movies hardcore. So if you don't want spoilers to literally the critically acclaimed Oscar-winning Mouse Hunt, that is a false sentence. It did not win an Oscar. It probably won a Razzie. I actually have no idea.
Might be critically acclaimed. That I can't speak to. But it might be. It
will be in this because, wait, if a movie wins our bracket, does it become critically acclaimed? Because we're critics and we're acclaiming them?
I guess so, by definition.
Wow.
It's a big honor.
But yeah, big spoilers. We will be spoiling these movies. Please watch them if you don't want it spoiled. Blah, blah, blah.
I just Googled or I looked at the Wikipedia for Mouse Hunt to see if it had won any awards. Fun fact, it does not seem like it did. Also, Roger Ebert gave the film 2 stars, calling it, quote, not very funny, and maybe couldn't have been very funny no matter what, because the pieces for comedy are not in place.
Why are we shitting on my movie before the comparison?
When have we ever listened to Roger Ebert? Like, when has anyone given a shit what he says?
He has one of my favorite quotes in like movies, but that's it. Cinema is a machine for empathy.
Oh,
but that's a nice little.
We should get him on the show. If anyone knows his publicist, get him in touch with. Is he dead? I don't know.
No, he's alive. He's probably reviewing the next Martin Scorsese thing. Just kidding. Actually, I take back a lot. You know, Scorsese said some good points recently. I take back my hate in the previous bracket.
I'm sure we'll have Scorsese movies that will be a time for you to voice
to
that.
Really voice that. I just felt like I needed to now because I've been like conflicted this whole time.
With that, I guess let's jump right into it. As Alex said, our first matchup here is Paddington 2 versus The Lion King. Alex, do you want to introduce The Lion King?
Yeah, I could do that. For anyone who hasn't seen it, The Lion King is a classic Disney movie directed by Allers and Minkoff, released in 1994, where lions reenact Hamlet. The king is dead, and Simba has to decide if he will shirk his duties and veg out as a recluse in the jungle, or rise to power and take the throne in order to save his kingdom.
The way you said reenact Hamlet, I really like the idea of imagining that they are actors and that this is all a stage production of Hamlet being done by lions.
Which I think would be very fun.
You laugh and you jest, but they did have a live musical and they did do that atrocious quote unquote live action Lion King.
It was fine with PS2 graphics and a very famous cast that was highly miscast.
Just put Beyonce in anything. People will watch it.
Yeah, probably.
I'd watch it. I love Beyonce. I don't think she should have
Anyway, the 1994 Lion King.
I picked this movie because I've always loved it, and I watched the new one with the photorealistic graphics recently and was so disappointed, and it made me want to watch this one again, and so I put it in a bracket.
Wow.
What did you guys think?
I just love and so I put it in a bracket. It wasn't that the same energy as Home Alone 2. It's like, I watched it recently. It was the holidays, so I put it in the bracket.
I think I take my picks far less seriously than you guys do.
I picked Mouse Hunt.
It turns out the guy who didn't study film is the cinephile of the three of us. Weird how that works.
Hey, okay, Mouse Hunt is objectively one of the best movies.
We'll get to it. We're talking about Lion King, 1994 Lion King, and I did enjoy Mouse Hunt, Jake.
Spoilers for the second half of this episode. Matt likes Mouse Hunt.
Oh God,
Roger E. Bear cousin.
We know 20 minutes early, something I was going to say anyway. As far as Lion King goes, I had a lot of fun rewatching this. I do rewatch it semi-frequently, probably at least once a year, just because I know a lot of people that really love this movie. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was pleasant. I do think, weirdly, I took far fewer notes on this movie than a lot of other ones, just because I was just like hanging out, vibing with it. Also, because I'm just like so super familiar with all of it, which is just kind of interesting.
That's so funny you say that. My impressions were literally the same thing. I watched this with my niece and nephew. Actually, that was my rewatch, and they're very tiny.
Cute.
They're like, I don't know their ages, 2 and 1, 3 and 2, 3 and 1. They're young. Uncle of the year. They love me, I promise. And so I watched it with them. But yeah, I actually took. It wasn't just because they were like running around and being crazy, but also. But yeah, I took less notes because, like you said, I've seen it so many times. I feel like most people have seen The Lion King so many times.
I believe that. Probably a generational thing. The new kids, they've got the Lion King 2019.
Yeah.
The new kids, give them Paddington 2 instead of...
Give them Paddington 2. That's what Paul King said, because it's phenomenal. Such a fantastic and heartwarming movie. But what the heck is it about? All right, this has become a very strange transition that I might cut up relentlessly. Paddington 2 follows the highly lovable, the oh-so-cute marmalade aficionado, Paddington Brown, as he now lives in London with the Brown family. He takes on a series of odd jobs in an attempt to buy his great Aunt Lucy the oh-so-bestest present. However, disaster strikes when the gift is snatched by the dastardly and very handsome Phoenix Buchanan, an out-of-work actor played by Hugh Grant. Paddington is framed, and the Brown family must prove his innocence and catch the culprit. And Paddington adjusts to life in prison during all of that. If you have no idea what Paddington is about, it is about a tiny bear. He's literally so cute, and he does go to prison in this movie. It's awesome.
I think the description for this episode should just be Paddington adjusts to prison.
As far as why I picked this movie, I mean, really what it comes down to is I think it is just such a fantastic film. It has like frequently people write off children's movies as like, oh, it's for kids. So like you can like dumb them down or like not put as much effort in. I think we've talked about it with other movies before. And I think that's something very much at play here. It's just so pleasant. It's so fantastic to watch. And also I have just a very deep love for Paddington in my heart of hearts, as I'm familiar with the books as I had them as a child. Do you guys have any?
I can throw my thoughts out there.
Go for it.
Yeah, I have no familiarity with Paddington. I didn't read the books at all as a child, and I never saw these in the theaters. I never saw them recently. This is the first time I have seen any Paddington content, and oh man, I was charmed the hell out by that bear. He's so freaking cute and charming and so lovable. And I can just imagine having a little Paddington stuffed bear that I would sleep with every night because I was a stuffed animals kid. Yeah, I loved this movie. It was so much fun. So cute.
Part of the real life lore for anyone who knows me in person and knows that bears are one of my favorite animals. It's Paddington and Corduroy are definitely instrumental in why that's the case.
I did not put that together. I also loved Corduroy. I had a Corduroy bear.
Isn't it so
He's
funny
awesome.
how
So
in our last episode of Sequel Showdown, which check it out if you haven't, but quote, Alex said, fuck that bear. I don't care about that bear.
I rescind my statement. It's a wonderful bear and I love him.
How'd you feel about this one, Jake?
Yeah, I also loved, I had the Paddington books as a kid. Well, I didn't have them. I would steal them from libraries anyway. But I did love like the Paddington books. And I just want to mention one thing that blew my mind watching it now for some reason. I love how they marketed this film as from the producers of Harry Potter. At first I was like, oh, that's hilarious. That's funny, whatever. But here's the thing. In this movie, all of a sudden, Michael Gambon pops up. He's fucking Dumbledore. And then literally during the movie, I was like, wait, holy shit, that's Umbridge. Wait, that's Molly Weasley. Wait, that's Professor Slughorn. That's Mad-Eye Moody was the main...
Yeah. I saw that too.
It's literally Harry Potter. It's in the Harry Potter universe. That's fucking wild. It literally was just, they grabbed all the Harry Potter actors and they're like, hey, who doesn't have shit to do? Want to make a bear movie? And they did that.
Paddington 2 is in the Harry Potter universe, except Paddington Brown is a muggle, so he doesn't understand the magic that is going on around him.
Well, that's what it makes sense when you think about it, because why are people being so fucking nonchalant about this bear working, doing all this thing? Literally, like during the parade, whatever, introducing Hugh Grant scene, they're like, oh, pick me, and then Hugh Grant was like, oh, a bear, come up on stage. No one would fucking do that unless you're a wizard. Like,
it's the wizarding world of Paddington Brown.
Holy shit! Like, honestly, this blew my mind.
I would watch Paddington take on the wizarding world.
I would too. I think Paddington could defeat Voldemort with just his cuteness.
With just his life advice from Aunt Lucy.
And some marmalade.
There's probably a Snyder cut out there of Paddington in
the Snyder cut of Paddington too.
All right, well, we're now 15 minutes in and we haven't even started comparing our movies.
I can start us off because in your description, I came to a sudden realization that both of these movies are, I think, interesting in the fact that they both have two very strong acts, like, you know, which I didn't think of until just now, of like, obviously The Lion King has multiple acts because it's based off of Hamlet. So you have like the before he is exiled and then the exile and then the return. But Paddington has the beginning where he's trying to make money, second half where he's exiled to prison, and then the escape and return. Right? Which I think is so fascinating as a structure to Paddington.
Did just everyone steal from Shakespeare? Is that what you're saying? Is that
I think
British
everyone
people.
Does.
British people. You know what's funny? Like also, I mean, a good comparison is they both have source material, which I think is really interesting.
I think it's interesting, but they're also used in different ways. Where, like Lion King is a much more, it's, you know, a direct. I did air quotes, but none of you can see those. Adaptation of Hamlet, obviously lions, but you know, fits into that framework. Whereas like the Paddington movies are based on the character of Paddington, but they're not like direct adaptations of the stories.
Well, so a note on that, because I haven't read any Paddington books. Also, just a fun side note. Oh my God, what's his name? Who voices adult Simba? What's his name? Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick joined The Lion King because he thought it was a US adaptation of a Japanese manga.
Like of like Kimba the White Lion?
Yeah, he thought it was an adaptation of Kimba the White Lion, and that's why he joined it.
Wow. Also amazing that Matthew just knew that shit right away. Oh, you talking about Kimba the White Lion? Yeah, no, I love that shit. Oh my
God. So that's a fun fact.
Fun fact. If there's anyone out there that thinks that The Lion King is in any way stealing from Kimba, that is just not true. There are like thousands upon thousands of hours of Kimba material, so you can fit every scene if you wanted to. Nature of the beast. Nature of the beast. Anyway.
Have
Disney
you
has actually talked about it on hand. I was reading about it.
Have you invested all those hours into? Have you?
No, I have not. Anyway, let's get. We are so off topic today.
Watching Paddington 2, there were a lot of little moments that seemed like little vignettes that I couldn't tell because I don't know the source material. But I was wondering if like a lot of the moments in it were taken from those books or if they are completely original.
They're inspired in the style of the books rather than like just directly adapted. There are like, you know, elements of like he gets his name from Paddington Station, like that comes directly from the books that occurs in the first movie. Yeah, but pretty much all the second movie. Our British listeners out there, we know you're there.
Yeah.
Correct us if we're wrong, because I haven't read the entire collection of Paddington books. But I believe the second movie is pretty much all original.
Yeah, I mean, it has the same like energy. Like it's so weird it having the same like aesthetic and energy, even though it also borrows a lot from Wes Anderson, which we can get into later.
Yes, for sure.
Paddington 2 through and through. Actually, I think both of these movies, like through and through, are very much a labor of love from the people that created them.
For sure.
It seems that they truly cared about what they were creating, which is just really fantastic to see. And I personally, it resonates a lot with me with Paddington 2. It seems that people just had fun making it and that they wanted to craft something truly brilliant. Yeah, it's such a delight.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny that that's the case for The Lion King, though, because I agree that you totally feel it. But Disney, in the production of Lion King, put their B team on it because they wanted to focus their efforts on Pocahontas,
which was sent to the Lion King gulag.
Yeah, like The Lion King, and also the producer of The Lion King. I don't know the guy's name, but the one of the lead producers on it. It was his last movie before leaving Disney and starting up DreamWorks.
Wasn't it Schumacher? Wasn't he the DreamWorks guy?
Could have been.
It was Gore Verbinski. Anyway.
But yeah, so like Disney's quote unquote, I'm also doing air quotes, but you can't see them because we are in audio format. It was Disney's B team that created The Lion King, and it is just an astounding movie.
Way better than Pocahontas.
I hate Pocahontas.
Maybe we'll get to it on the show. Very problematic.
It's also bad. I don't know, man.
A direct comparison I want to talk about because I think it's something really interesting. Because pretty much everything we've talked about thus far has been like, wow, both these movies just do this so well. It's another thing both do very well, but in different ways. Is I think how they handle their villains. I think Phoenix Buchanan and Scar are just both so much fun to watch on screen, but they function and act so very differently.
Yeah.
So I just want to see if you guys have any thoughts on the subject.
My thought about it actually was that they act they act differently, like clearly, but they act similarly. Where it feels Phoenix Buchanan, I want to call him Hugh Grant just because
I call him Hugh Grant. That's
I just didn't get his name really watching it. I was like, that's Hugh Grant.
I had the same thought.
Hugh Grant in a costume having fun, pretending to be an actor.
On that line, though, Hugh Grant was a man of the theater. He did theater stuff. And if Lion King is based on Hamlet, like Scar felt like a very play villain, like on the stage. So I thought they both camped it up when they needed to, and this weird whoa sort of. I'm doing a whole performance. I'm basically stripping. You guys can't see. It's an audio medium.
Honestly, I've seen Jake naked before. But
he's
never gotten this visceral.
Sorry, I need to put the marmalade away. Sorry.
I think that's a great point. I think Scar as a villain is very melodramatic, which is so fun in a animated medium because they can go so far with it. And Jeremy Irons does such a good job voicing Scar. I don't know if you guys know this, during the Be Prepared song, he actually blew out his voice because he was going so hard in that final building moment of it before the climax finale of the song.
Wow.
And they had to stop production for days because his voice was shot. He also reportedly, because his voice was so raspy, he would bring a bunch of cigarettes into the recording studio and just smoke to get his voice at the right level of raspiness.
That's what got him Zack Snyder's attention to be cast as Alfred. The Snyder Cut.
This whole thing is just an advertisement for our big Snyder Cut announcement. I don't know what that is yet, but there'll probably be something. Be on the lookout for it at Tough Cut Pod.
Always be plugging. That's our motto,
baby.
Sorry, what's our Gmail? What's our Gmail again?
toughcutpod@gmail.com.
All right, cool.
If you are Roger Ebert's publicist, if you're Gore Verbinski's publicist, if you're a representative from Canada Dry, I think the list grows. Yeah, so I think in terms of other things in these movies, obviously that villain comparison, that's something I hadn't thought about, that element of playing the angle of the stage, but that's definitely really present in both characters. And I think a really cool another line you can sort of draw between them. Yeah, I don't know.
I think something that's really cool to see is when older actors who are so famous and have done everything that they ever could have dreamed of just have fun in any role. I think this is totally off topic, but in the Mamma Mia movies, those actors are just having the absolute best time, and you can tell. And I think Hugh Grant in Paddington 2 is having a great time, which I think is just so fun to watch.
I actually really like that too. I like it when actors just throw everything out, like Jason Segel in the Muppets.
Yeah.
I think this comparison takes the cake for the number of times we've talked about movies unrelated to this pairing.
All right.
Wow, we're all over the place.
I have a comparison that's important to me.
Because I have no idea what I'm voting for.
Yeah, I actually do. So this is Animal Protagonist, right? So me going into it, like, yeah, we can analyze what we feel is the better movie, whatever. But I'm actually looking, for me personally, everyone has their own personal how they're voting for the animal, like for the protagonist and for their arcs. Paddington's arc is really interesting. You know, him like this aggressively wholesome character becoming a criminal, going to jail,
coping with prison.
But here's the thing. The world didn't change him. He changed the world. That's the whole theme of Paddington and Paddington 2. Like, it's beautiful. Like, he's literally the most genuine force of nature that literally jail could not bring him down. And he can make the hardest of souls cry. Even Hugh Grant didn't get a bad ending. You know, he got to do his musical.
He thrived in prison.
Which is... I feel like actual Hugh Grant would.
But he thrived in prison because of what Paddington turned prison into.
He changed the world. While I think Simba as a protagonist, it's interesting because you have kid Simba and then adult Simba. I don't know. I think Simba is okay as a protagonist. I think, like, you know, he has an arc, he goes away and then he comes back. But I don't know. I don't really feel invested in Simba. I think the whole story is fun. I really like Lion King, the songs, everything. But I just don't feel like he has a strong arc or a strong character that makes me be like, I love Simba. Where Paddington's like, I love Paddington. You know, I would commit war crime for Paddington.
I would die for Paddington. Yeah. I would kill for Simba, maybe.
I would kill for Simba, but I would die for Paddington.
Which I think is interesting when you look at fascism in The Lion King. Like, would you kill for Simba because Simba is your king, but you would die for Paddington because you love Paddington?
In relation to that kind of how they act as protagonists, what it means to be an animal protagonist, something I was kind of thinking about, and I'm not sure how I feel about it at this point, but there is a ton of anthropomorphizing that happens when animals are the protagonist of something.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, that is the case very much for both of these movies. I don't know if you can really say that in either of these animals are truly, you know, like animals. They're basically just people in animal skins, which I think is like an interesting thing that I like kind of want to think about as we run through this bracket. Obviously, well, go ahead.
I think an important note on that, though, is we got The Lion King where Simba is a full lion and it sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, I think we also have to consider like being more an animal isn't a good thing.
Let's not go too deep.
Alex makes a subtle nod as he thinks about mouse
visually.
Let's not get too deep into this discourse. I feel uncomfortable with it.
I do think it's sort of an interesting conversation to have with the two movies. I do think I agree with Jake a little bit, mostly more on the grounds of how lovable and how sort of magnetic Paddington is as a character than not enjoying or tracking Simba's arc in the same way.
I definitely agree, I think, with Jake and you in that Paddington is more lovable. And I think the issue with Simba is that we just, because there are like big time jumps in The Lion King, we don't get the quality character development of a concise story of like turning moments that lead directly, you know? And while like young Simba singing I Just Can't Wait to Be King is charming as hell, and the transformation in Hakuna Matata
Hakuna that's
Matata
a great scene.
is like really fun and like it's a great scene, I feel like it actually ends up detracting from the character as a whole.
That's I think a really good point.
Simba's luscious locks, love them. I mean, so well animated.
Yeah, it wins Nala over. Something I do want to throw out to talk about, this is moving in a little bit different direction, but just something I think needs to be called out is like the actual writing of these two movies. I think like I want to talk writing and art mostly because you brought up the influences of Wes Anderson, especially visually in Paddington 2. Both of these are visually stellar movies. Backseat down for just a half second here. But I think that writing wise, I do think there's a very apparent edge, at least in my opinion, with Paddington. There is, you know, they're both very tight stories, very well written. but Paddington has so many very, very like nice and tight like setup payoffs.
Funny lines, dude.
Fantastic writing on like little jokes. It is a spectacularly written movie in terms of like how its bones fit together, but then how when you fill that meat with the jokes, it's a good one.
I love Paddington's meat.
No, please leave his meat inside. Leave his meat inside.
Never say that shit again. Like this is literally like Grand Budapest Hotel had a spinoff series with Saoirse Ronan's character. Like that's literally what it is, and she befriended a bear. But one of my favorite lines for some reason was in the train where that lawyer is like, they come up to the lawyer, they're like, would you like champagne? And then he's like, yes, we are civilized. I suppose we're civilized. Yeah, civilized. And they just say civilized over and over. It's so funny. It's so good. I will say a quick, go for it.
Go for it. No, go for it. Go for it.
I do think that The Lion King I want to say mine after your point because I think yours is more directly related.
I have a pretty directly related note.
Yeah, go for it.
I think I agree that Paddington is really, really good and has great meat. But I also think that in The Lion King, Timon and Pumbaa are such great comedy and they're so well written as characters. And the issue is that they don't come in until halfway through the movie. But I think they are fantastic.
I think I agree with that. Something I just realized because you sort of laid on the 3-act structure of Hamlet in a much more direct way than I've ever thought about in terms of The Lion King. Are Timon and Pumbaa Rosencrantz and Guildenstern?
Yeah.
Does that mean that Timon and Pumbaa, didn't they have like a little spinoff? Is that just Rosencrantz and Guildenstern?
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah, is that just what that is?
Yes.
That's pretty fun.
It's very fun.
No idea if that's what the spinoff Lion King movie is actually based on in any way, but I kind of feel like I need to. I probably watched. It was 3.5 or something. I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember.
It's 1.5. It's very good.
I could have picked Lion King 1.5 instead of this, and it actually probably would have been a much better.
I agree on that. Also, a comparison we're not talking about, or just a note we're not talking about. Nathan Lane is in this movie, and guess what other movie he's in?
We have not gotten to Mouse Hunt yet. Okay, backseat that.
sorry. I'm just so excited.
Artistry, though, was that a point you wanted to make, Jake? We should vote very soon here.
For me, the artistry, like I really think for animal protagonists, if Simba stayed as a kid more, then it might be a closer like edge for me. I think the first half of it is much more exciting. There are a bunch of like good halves of like Timon and Pumbaa really save the movie for me fun wise during the second half, but I think kid Simba is a much better versus as a protagonist to Paddington 2 than adult. I just don't care for adult Simba. He's boring.
Well, I think the problem is that The Lion King forces like the plot of Hamlet into the second half of a movie, and most of Hamlet is Hamlet brooding, sad, contemplating suicide, which they couldn't do in The Lion King. So it was just a sad lion for half a movie, which is really tough to make entertaining and fun.
Very true.
But I think we are really pushing time, so I'm ready to vote if you guys are.
I'm ready to vote.
There are probably more beautiful conversations we could have had. Both fantastic movies, and what I feel like could have been a finals matchup. You know, both great contenders.
Yeah, both great contenders.
Sorry, Matthew, lick my dick.
I'm gonna leave that in.
It's gonna be so out of context, dude.
Yeah, it'll just be like, are you guys ready to vote? Hey, Matthew, lick my dick.
All right. Okay.
So anyway, I think I'll go first because I think I made my point pretty clear with kind of my end statement there. I'm going with Paddington 2. I think the protagonist is so fun. Paddington is so fun. And there's a lot of artistry in this movie that kept me engaged the whole time. So Paddington 2.
Matt?
I think to no one's surprise with how I've talked about the movie thus far, I am voting for Paddington 2.
And that makes it 3 all around. Paddington 2.
Wow. All 3 of us.
Is this our first unanimous vote?
I think so.
It definitely is.
Paddington 2. It deserves it. It's a fantastic movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
I can't wait for us to be unanimous about the next one, too.
Yeah. So I guess jumping into the second half of the bracket, Roger Ebert's not here, so we don't have to worry about his opinions. we've got Mouse Hunt and SpongeBob. Alex, do you want to introduce the SpongeBob SquarePants movie?
Yeah, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, directed by Steven Hillenburg, released in 2004. It follows children's favorite sponge as he makes the perilous journey to get the crown, save the town of Bikini Bottom, as well as Mr. Krabs from the wrath of King Neptune at the stubby little paws of the villain Plankton. I picked this movie because I just have great fond memories of it. And I don't know, maybe I should have picked different movies because looking at my honorable mentions list as it's stacking up, hey, there are some great movies that I could have picked, but I picked this one. And honestly, I had a really good time watching it back. It was a lot funnier. Like the jokes hold up a lot more than I remember it. And I have really great. Yeah, I just had a great time watching this movie. What did you guys think?
I also think that you were also worried because you saw that it was going up against Mouse Hunt and you were like, oh, damn, that's a waste of a movie. No, I really like SpongeBob movie. I literally watched it last on our list because, you know, we have our list ahead of time, so we watch them fresh. I watched it last night because I wanted it to be the last movie I watched just because I have such fond memories with it. And it was so fun. I vividly remember the video game. That's the biggest thing for me. The GameCube, it was for me GameCube. I don't know if it was on other platforms, but it's like an actually phenomenal
really
video
good
game.
I never played it, actually.
You would actually
surprisingly,
love
which
it.
I think is funny because I'm probably the GameCube nerd of all of us, the Nintendo boy.
You would literally love it. It's so good. I just loved it, and it reminded me about a bunch about that. I love this movie.
Yeah, so I'll hop in with my initial impressions. Two things. One, I think to the point both these guys have echoed, the jokes do hold up way better than I ever would have thought they did. Like I went into this expecting like, oh yeah, it's going to be a SpongeBob movie. Like, you know, old SpongeBob was like pretty funny. I had fond memories as a kid, but there's no way it's like genuinely funny.
You were thinking of Sponge out of water.
I haven't watched any of the new ones. Some of the new ones are supposedly decent, pretty good. Which was, wow, that was such a pleasant surprise. It was really good. Secondly, this is a note to all you viewers before you hop back into this movie, if you haven't seen it in a long time. If you are allergic to thick, juicy ass, stay far, far away from the like first 15 minutes of this movie because there's some juicy cheeks. SpongeBob and Patrick double cheeked up.
Stay away from this whole movie. Like they had so much fun with the animation of this movie, but their favorite joke to animate was shots from behind SpongeBob and Patrick where they show their cheeks and it like highly defined, and it's really funny to see every single time.
They're real thick.
Can we just get a loop of Matthew be like double cheeked up on? Damn.
Paddington's meat, SpongeBob's juicy ass. What an episode!
What are we turning into, guys? We can't
Mouse
keep doing
Hunt.
this.
Bring it home, Jake.
Yeah, guys. All right. I know what you've all been waiting for. You've been watching, you've been listening to this podcast. You're like, oh, finally, the new bracket. I'm so excited. Oh, wait, what's that movie? What's coming up? Mouse Hunt? I vaguely remember that movie. Did I watch it in class in a VCR once for a day when my teacher was hungover? Maybe. Or did I just randomly flick it on when I faked being sick as a kid? Maybe. It has nostalgia. It has purpose. And guess what? That's my pick. Mouse Hunt, 1997, directed by the Gore Verbinski of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. This kickstarts the illustrious career of Gore Verbinski with the story of two brothers trying to sell their late father's mansion to make it big. Little do they know, the mansion is home to the most vengeful mouse in the history of mousitude. Blood will be spilt.
Literally.
Don't you want to watch that? Don't you want to watch that movie?
Also, a man's wife leaves him in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, so if you're allergic to divorce,
I think you are cutting out, in my opinion, the best part of the movie, which is Christopher Walken showing up as the exterminator. And he's in the movie for like 20 minutes. And his part is so wild and is so funny.
It's literally his best role.
I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie so much more than I ever thought that I would. I have never seen it before, so Jake's claims of nostalgia are a swing and a miss for me. But oh my God, I had a lot of fun watching this movie.
Yeah, so when we were like finalizing this bracket, setting it up, Jake pitched Mouse Hunt, and we were like talking about it. Like he's like, I don't really remember it, but like I'm throwing it on there a wild card, and I'm like, I feel like I really remember watching this movie in class when I was a kid. Like I like really remember it. And then I'm watching the movie. I'm like, wow, these are some like pretty adult themes kind of running in the background here. I'm not so sure. And then out of relatively nowhere, a man who's believed he's come into serious wealth. His wife ambushes him, drops her robe, and she's dressed in very skimpy lingerie. And I'm like, oh, there's no chance I watched this as a child in class. I swear to God I did. I don't know where I've seen this movie before.
This is when PG ratings were like very loose. This was like the age of like, yeah, your parent is there smoking a cigarette on break. They're kind of watching you. Watch this movie.
The wildness that is Mouse Hunt aside, how about we hop into comparing these two?
Sure, I can start. Do you guys remember the line in Mouse Hunt when they're getting the mean cat? And they just go, "That's one mean pussy."
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes and I just have like trapped between things just in quotes, one mean pussy. So yeah, I thought
That's what I
thought it was significant enough to write down. Also, this is just like a side note on Mouse Hunt. There is a lot of like communist subtext of like the workers seizing the means of the production that runs through this movie. And I was like, what is going on?
This is the most I've laughed in so long. I can't.
At one point, Nathan Lane is talking about the mouse, and he says he's Hitler with a tail. Nostradamus didn't see this thing coming, which I think is just so funny.
You remember when she was seducing him, and then the painting of his father changed to look at him?
It wants to get a look there. Jesus Christ.
So I need to defend myself a little bit.
Okay, yeah. After we've just laughed our ass off at Mouse Hunt for 5 minutes.
I need to defend myself a little bit because one, it should win because we've laughed harder than we've ever laughed before in our lives. But two, I know you're watching this, and if you have seen Mouse Hunt, you're like, is the mouse the protagonist? Here's the thing, guys. One,
spoiler alert, it's not.
Here's the thing, guys. When I picked this movie, I just had a vague feeling. I just had something in the world. The zeitgeist was like, you gotta pick Mouse Hunt, even though you don't remember a thing about the movie, except for that mouse does some shit. And so I really thought watching this movie, or when I picked it, that the mouse was the protagonist. And when I was watching it, as it was going on, I literally was texting these guys like, the mouse should be the protagonist though, right? Like, should. And I really, really believe at the end of the movie, the mouse should have been and is in a lens, like a critical lens, the protagonist of the movie.
What I will say is that through a certain framing of Mouse Hunt, our two wonderful leading men, Ernest and
the brothers,
yeah, Lars and Ernest, Lars and Ernie,
and
Nathan Lane and
or is Nathan Lars and Ernest?
Yes, Nathan Lane and
Lee Evans.
And Lee Evans. Yes. I do think through a certain lens, they can definitely be set up as sort of the antagonists to the mouse just defending his homestead. You know, this is sort of like a Home Alone where the mouse is home alone.
Yes.
And Nathan Lane and Lee Evans are the sticky bandits. So like I kind of see that perspective. However, the mouse is first seen 20 minutes into the movie. I wrote that down 20 minutes in.
But who's seen on the poster? Who's seen on the poster? You have Nathan Lane, powerhouse Nathan Lane, who's been in a lot of movies, star power, also, and yet you put a mouse on the poster of Mouse Hunt.
Yeah, I guess. Anyway.
Doesn't the poster of Mouse Hunt show the mouse in a chef's hat? So doesn't the poster like spoil the ending of the movie where the chef becomes a taste tester? What's up with that? I'm calling this Mousegate. This mouse never should have been. This movie never should have been included in these brackets, and I think it's a shame. And we should be disgusted that we continued on like this.
Whoa! But here's my thing.
I want to throw out there my biggest problem with this movie is that they never gave a reason that the mouse was such a jerk. Like I get that they were moving into the house, but they never gave a reason for why the mouse was so intelligent and so Kevin McAllister. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And like maybe if they'd done a Detective Pikachu and had the mouse maybe if they'd done a Detective Pikachu and actually had the mouse be their dad, I would have been like, hell yeah, fuck yeah, this mouse rocks.
Did we just spoil Detective
I just can't
Pikachu?
Get behind it. Yeah, spoiler warning, Detective Pikachu. The shocking mouse is Tim's dad.
So I believe that one, you don't need a fucking origin story for this mouse for it to be a protagonist. Kevin McAllister in Home Alone did not get an origin story where he got the super soldier serum, like whatever. Did not happen. But you see glimpses of the mouse's life that it's built. It's really a story, one, about white invasion. It's about gentrification.
Into $1 million mansion.
These white people are trying to chase someone out of their native land out. That's fucked up. And
in retribution, the mouse destroys his own land.
Yeah, I mean, well,
so no one can have it.
Slash and burn.
Here's the thing. The white people destroyed the land from retaliation. It wasn't the mouse.
True.
It was them.
They do plug
it.
the hose in. Yeah, you're right.
They do flood the house. Yeah,
it's their own doing. If you analyze this from that lens,
there is a communist, like, critical race lens to view Mouse Hunt, and someone's gonna write a great dissertation about it.
I would literally go back to college. I would put myself in debt to write a dissertation about how Mouse Hunt is a fantastic and superior film to all film.
Well, we have spent 20 minutes talking about Mouse Hunt.
You're
we
right.
have not compared it to SpongeBob at all yet.
I mean, SpongeBob's about animals, so I'm kind of ready to vote, honestly. I think we've got some good conversation. SpongeBob is about animals and Mouse Hunt is not. I'm ready.
We need to compare these movies. Guys, I feel like I'm pleading on deaf ears. We have laughed so
Jake,
hard. Imagine if Mouse Hunt advances.
Jake, now you know how I've felt talking about The Dark Knight through an entire bracket, pleading on deaf ears.
Wow. Well,
so what I will say, I kind of understand Jake's perspective a little bit. Like, I can see a reading in which the mouse is the protagonist. However, we are discussing. Oh, I stabbed myself with a pen. However, we are discussing these movies through the lens of animal protagonists. And I do think undeniably, SpongeBob is an animal protagonist,
Okay. All right. Even undeniably. Excuse me. Given the benefit of the doubt, give me the benefit of the doubt here. Us actually comparing. Say the mouse is the protagonist.
Yeah, which I've lended you. I'm here for it. Alex is ready to vote. Alex is ready to get out of here and hang up the boots.
He's ready to vote for Mouse Hunt. That's so kind of you to want to vote Mouse Hunt already, but I want to talk more about it. SpongeBob as a protagonist for the SpongeBob movie. Like, he has a fun arc, I guess. It's like, be a kid. It's okay of being who you are. But he's also kind of obnoxious, like, in a very, like, there's not really an arc, just stuff happens to SpongeBob. And that, like,
well, what is the mouse's arc?
Okay.
I am here for you. I want to know. I am here for you.
The mouse's arc is how its home got invaded. And so the mouse retaliated and its home got destroyed. And then still...
How does the mouse's perspective ever change except for the sudden twist at the end where the mouse is the helper?
Hold on.
The mouse is exactly the same through the entire movie until...
The mouse literally got sent away and then came back and then did all this stuff and then still had the decency, still had the genuine, like, I will forgive you, offering forgiveness to people who don't deserve it, to be like, I will help you in your dream. For this to be a story about how string cheese was invented, spoilers.
Yeah.
But that is beautiful for the mouse to forgive these people. They both forgive each other. Forgiveness is the most beautiful thing anyone can give someone who's truly hurt you.
Spoilers for Gore Verbinski's Gesamtkunstwerk.
What? Okay.
I just wanted to say Gesamtkunstwerk.
So,
in all fairness, to your point about whether or not, like, SpongeBob not having an arc, I think that in part is because it's pulled from a TV show, essentially a kid's sitcom where the characters are never supposed to change. Right. And this was supposed to be the last thing in the SpongeBob fiction before Nickelodeon liked the movie so much they wanted to keep making SpongeBob.
Is that true?
But
Yeah.
Yeah, this was originally going to be the end of SpongeBob.
Which is why they never bring up the whole like manager thing again, because he became the manager at the end. Yeah.
Oh, that was supposed to be a little cap off. Huh.
Which I also love. The final joke of SpongeBob is him saying that Squidward's fly is down. Peak. So good. Something in SpongeBob that I think is really done, and this isn't necessarily to point out the arc, but in the writing of the movie, because it pulls so much from the TV show, and it obviously has references to the TV show, it highlights characters, even though like, my leg, like those background characters are given like a small moment in the sun. It also does a really fantastic job of, in a supernatural way, incorporating like Goofy Goober. So that way you see it like 4 times sporadically throughout the movie in really like small natural moments. So that way, by the end of the movie with the Goofy Goober like rock song, it is like this celebration of SpongeBob in like a really epic way that you never should have gotten from a like movie from a TV show that never talks about Goofy Goobers beforehand. I think it's done super well.
Something I think is interesting and I want to address regarding these 2 movies. One, we have to get the setup. SpongeBob mentions at the beginning of the film that he is one employee of the month, 370 something times, 374. How old is SpongeBob? That's like 31 years. Is he in his 40s?
No,
is he middle aged?
He has a driver's license where they reveal his birthday. I don't know where it's
like,
at.
Just based on the movie, 374 months, that's at least 31 years. Give me that SpongeBob is middle-aged, and I think we find something very interesting about these 2 movies in comparison. They are both about men coming into their middle age and how they react to that experience in like very different ways, and like how they learn and grow from it, you know? And like at the end, like SpongeBob becomes manager of the Krusty Krab and
the mouse.
Well, I'm talking about the human leads, in this case, the middle-aged human leads.
I will say that the mouse also has to be middle-aged because of all the work it's done in the house. It has to have lived somewhat of a life to have.
I actually think the mouse is immortal. That's my fan theory. The mouse is immortal.
Then mouse is middle-aged. The people are middle-aged. SpongeBob's middle-aged. SpongeBob becomes manager. They embrace their father's string factory, make string cheese. You know, like these are movies about middle life crises.
Yeah. And Mouse Hunt does it better. That's crazy that you say that and bring that up.
Well, I'm ready to vote.
Okay, one last thing that I want to address. One, is Paddy Wagon, that's
a reference to Kill Bill.
Is it? That's okay. I wrote that down. I was like, no shit. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I
rad.
mean, it's also Paddy Wagon is a reference to like the cops and like, you know, Paddy Wagon. You someone to them.
I guess it's not then.
But I'd like to believe someone Hillenberg has a foot fetish as well.
Does he?
Remember the giant boot?
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
And Patrick in his fishnet stockings,
dude. So
we're
good.
On a baby hunt. No bubble blowing babies.
No.
That's really funny.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I'm gonna turn you into men makes me think of it.
Here's the thing. Before we vote and the wrong movie gets booted out, I just want to take this moment to say, Gore Verbinski, I love you. I fought for you. I think this movie may have its issues, but I think you as a filmmaker are spectacular. And this is directly me shooting my shot during a podcast. Please come on the show. This is no ill will against you. I don't know what they're going to vote, but no matter what, I'm saying it right now, I'm voting Mouse Hunt. Thank you. And let's vote.
All right. Jake voted Mouse Hunt. I think I am very clearly in the camp. I'm voting the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Matt, it all comes down to you.
Be on the right side of history.
I am voting for the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Despite all reason and sense, despite what Gore Verbinski would want, SpongeBob didn't get its chance to get discussed. And like, I've got to give it to the one with the animals, you know?
There's a fucking mouse in the poster.
I want to say I did truly enjoy watching Mouse Hunt. I think it has some really funny, incredible moments. All my respect to Gore Verbinski. It's just the mouse isn't the protagonist.
It's spectacular. Everyone should watch it, and maybe one day we'll live stream ourselves while watching it and making jokes to it, and you can come hang out with us while we do it.
I'm actually crying. I can't do it. I love you, Gore
All right.
Verbinski. I love you, Mouse Hunt. I tried my best.
With that, coming at you.
Next week,
Take it away, Alex.
next Monday, we're on a weekly schedule, folks. Next Monday, we will be releasing episode 6, episode 2 of the Animal Protagonist bracket, or I should say, episode 6, part 2 of the Animal Protagonist bracket. And in that one, you'll be seeing Life of Pi, released in 2012, directed by Ang Lee, going up against Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988, directed by Robert Zemeckis. And you'll see Adventures of Milo and Otis, directed by Masanori Hata, released in the US in 1989, going up against Fantastic Mr. Fox, Wes Anderson, 2009. I think those are going to be really fun.
It should be a fantastic set of matchups. As always, follow us on all the socials at Tough Cut Pod. If you enjoyed the show, tell a friend about it if you want to. Only one, though, and you have to make it seem like a secret.
Make sure also we want to talk to you. We're going to be releasing these weekly instead of what we did for Sequel Showdown. So we want to hear about what you think should have won Mouse Hunt, or, you know, what you're excited about for the potential next week bracket. We love talking with you guys. This is a fantastic way to talk with everyone about their preference of movies and fight about it. So yeah, we want to hear from you. Follow us on socials. Much love. I'm excited.
We really can't express enough how much we appreciate you guys listening to this podcast, especially if you're listening to episode 5, because not part of the initial release. We're very grateful that you guys are giving it a chance.
Fantastic
and we hope you stick with
response
it.
to the first 4 episodes. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. Well, we won't see them. Justice for Gore Verbinski. Thanks, you guys. Love you.